Amen, amen. Romans chapter 12, verse 2. The word of God reads like this. Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then, somebody say then. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good, pleasing, and perfect will. I'll read it one more time and I hear it. It says, do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good, pleasing, and perfect will. The word of God for the people of God, you may be seated in his presence. For a few moments, St. Luke, I want to talk on the topic, or the subject rather, putting God's will to the test. Putting God's will to the test. Come on, find you a neighbor. Come on, turn to somebody next to you. Tell them, say, neighbor. Come on, look at your neighbor. Some of y'all still looking at me. Come on, look at them. Look at them like they got some gas money. Come on, look at them good. Come on, look at them. Come on. Turn to them and say, neighbor. Oh, neighbor. No matter what's going on in the world, I can always put God's will to the test. And find you somebody else, come on, because they don't believe that we can test and approve God's will. Come on, find you somebody that will believe that word on the day. Come on, tell somebody else, say neighbor. Oh, neighbor. My good friend. You look good today. And no matter what's going on in the world, you can always, and I mean always, test and approve God's will. Putting God's will to the test. Putting God's will to the test. St. Luke, in our culture today, we live in a time where the world's pattern of operation seems to be moving further and further away from the will of God. It seems in many areas in our culture today, plainly put, we are outright functioning without the Lord. It seems as though like never before that those things that used to have boundaries have now become boundless. Areas that were once regulated, come on, are seemingly now free from regulation. And that which was once considered chaos in past generations is now considered as order in present generations. For it would be not far-fetched, come on, if we were to say that in our culture today, we are living in a society that downplays heterosexuality while it celebrates homosexuality. It would not be far-fetched if we were to say we live in a society today that sees no needs for husbands, come on, while only encouraging fathers to go as far as being a good baby daddy. We live in a world and in a society today, come on, that is so connected to social network skills that it's almost completely disconnected from real world personal social skills. Come on, Instagram has become mama, Twitter has become daddy, and Ask Google has replaced Ask God. Today it seems that we are living in a culture and in a society, come on, where we find that dolphins and eagles are protected, come on, but this same culture allows black boys and black men to be gunned down on Facebook Live and their murderers go unconvicted. Come on. A culture that has transitioned from the type of parenting that pushes the child to do what the parent feels is best, come on, to the type of parenting where the parent negotiates with the child to do what the child feels is best. A culture in today in 2018 where young ladies are more valued for being in the top class of twerkers and less valued, come on, for being a student in the top of their class. A culture where young men model down the runways of life, come on, showing their underwear instead of wearing a belt. And even on today, In this culture, we see that we are living in a society where trusting in the words and the philosophies and ideas of Dr. Phil, Oprah Winfrey, Steve Harvey, Kanye West, Childish Gambino, Kendrick Lamar, Tyler Perry, and even your favorite reality shows outweighs us trusting in the words, philosophy, and the ideas of the living Word of God. Come on. I said in this culture, we are witnessing a time where giving godly advice and correction is viewed as being judgmental, where standing up for Christ is viewed as not being open-minded, and where sin no longer exists. Why? Because somehow God now is just cool with everything. Come on. It's anything goes, it's no holds barred, and as Burger King says, you can have it your way. In our text today here in Romans chapter 12 verse 2, the Apostle Paul is writing to the church at Rome. Here in this section of Romans from chapter 12 to chapter 15, he is addressing Christian conduct through the transformative power of the gospel of Jesus Christ. He is making it very clear that while the world has a pattern, come on, and while the world has a way of doing things that do not reflect the God that we serve, come on, that if you want to experience the fullness of God's will for your life, come on, then you must decide to renew your mind, put God's will to the test, and not be conformed to the mess of the world. Come on. Paul tells them this because he understands that it's putting God's will to the test that produces the boundaries in our lives, come on, to protect us and to keep us while God is working on us. Come on. He tells them this because he understands that it's putting God's will to the test that provides them with the mindset not to follow their own plan, but to follow, as Drake says, God's plan. Come on. He tells them this because he wants them to understand that putting God's will to the test gives wisdoms, young folk and older alike, in the type of pictures you post on Instagram and the type of snaps you post on Snapchat. Come on. And it's approving and testing God's will that gives us the mind to put God's word above every word. Come on. To stand for Christ in a culture of chaos and to understand that having it my way will never be better than doing it God's way. Come on. Now, I know I'm not talking to anybody here in Huntsville. Why? Because there's nobody at St. Luke that's ever had any trouble, come on, putting God's will to the test. Why? Because, see, everybody here on today always puts God's will above your own will. Come on. Everybody here on today has always renewed your mind in every situation and chosen God's way as the best way. Come on. And see, there's nobody here on today that's ever posted ratchet stuff on your timeline. Come on. You never cussed somebody out and you never disregarded God in your life choices. Or at least that's what you're trying to make the Negro sit beside you believe. Come on. But do I have anybody here on today that can stop being fake for a few moments? Come on. That for real be for real and take the mask off and declare, come on, that yes, I've done some jacked up stuff. Yes, there's some areas where I went along with the coffee. Yes, there's some spaces when I acted out of the will of God. And if I be real about it, I myself, come on, with my saved, sanctified, and Holy Ghost filled self, know that there's some areas in my life, come on, that I need some transformation too. Because at times I struggle with putting God's will to the test. Then, beloved, the relevant question for us on today is simply, in this culture that seems to function without God, how can we put God's will to the test? Come on. But what I believe